Good morning. I was reading something. I wanted to share it with you. Uh, Yesterday, I talked about prayer, um, and really God calling us out to God bringing the storms in our lives. God typically is a refuge from the storm. That's how we think of Him. But sometimes He causes the storm. Let me read this. I was reading. This is from Habakkuk. Habakkuk has been complaining. Why is God allowing? And I wonder the same thing more than ever. Uh, Why does God allow all this evil to prevail? Why does He allow people to think the way they think and just get away with it and celebrate it? It's disturbing. And I think we probably wax nostalgic and look back on the past as it being more glorious and wonderful than it really was. We remember the days gone by of playing in the creek bed and a simpler life, sitting on the porch talking to our neighbors. But nowadays, there is a uh, there's a different feel, there's a different sense. It seems like evil is prevailing and things have to happen. So Habakkuk's words in Habakkuk chapter 1, if you want to read it, in chapter 1, I'm going to read some of the verses to you, but it talks about why are you allowing this to happen? It's like justice is not prevailing, God. It's like everything is being perverted, and why aren't you doing something about it? And that's the age old question. That's what we all want to know. Why is it that God's not doing anything? So Habakkuk prays that prayer. He asked that question. The answer to his prayer was some of the most beautiful words. I've used them in the past, and I just think it's so wonderful to think about this. And I can't wait until God does this. But I got to be careful for what I wish for. Listen to this. It says this. So Habakkuk has just prayed that. Why are you allowing justice to be perverted? And in verse 5, Habakkuk has his answer from God. God says, "Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told." Be still, my fluttering heart. Wouldn't that be great? If God would do something in my day that I wouldn't believe even when I were told. He's going to spread His mighty wings and He's going to come in and swoop in with justice and mercy and grace. We're going to see the beauty of the Lord. That is not what happens. Here's what He says. I am raising up the Babylonians, the ruthless and impetuous people who sweep across the whole earth to seize dwellings not their own. They are a feared and dreaded people. As I'm reading this, I'm thinking, that kind of what COVID-19 is doing. They are a law to themselves and promote their own honor. Their horses are swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves at dusk. Their cavalry gallops headlong. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle, swooping to devour. They all come intent on violence. Their hordes advance like a desert wind and gather prisoners like sand. They mock kings and scoff at rulers. They laugh at all fortified cities. By building earthen ramps, they capture them. Then they sweep past like the wind and go on, guilty people whose own strength is their God. It wasn't exactly what I asked for. It really does sound like a coronavirus. It does sound like that. It's a picture of this thing that cares nothing about what your age is or what your status is, how much money you make or how poor you are, how sick you are, how healthy you are. It just doesn't care. It's coming in. But this is God's answer to Habakkuk's prayers. Why are you just allowing this injustice to continue? And his answer is so beautiful at first. Look to the nations, watch and be utterly amazed, for I'm going to do something in your day that you would not believe even if you were told. Well, yeah, I wouldn't believe it because that's not what I really was asking for. Or so I thought. Sometimes when we pray and we ask God to answer, we have this in our mind how He should answer. Great, you said yes to my request, and I want you to go about doing it the way I have it in my mind, in my heart. But God doesn't work that way. And we all know it's true. The way God works and what He sees and how He moves through eternity and moves places his hand in our time and does things is so incredible. And so many times we can miss it because we're not looking for that kind of answer. At least the answer may be yes. It's just, I didn't think you were going to go about it with such force and such pain and such using such violence and illness and death and whatever it might be. And so my point is, I think that sometimes we've got to remember that this is what God does. Paul tells the Romans that the Lord is in his heavens. He does as he pleases in Romans 9. And we've got to remember that. So today as you pray and you ask for God to do things, you ask for a specific answer to a prayer, understand that he answers prayers. He still does miracles. But it may not come about the way you thought it was going to come about. Do you trust him? Do you trust God that everything he does, and this is so important, everything he does is for our good? Do you believe that? That everything he does is for your good. And everything he does is far superior than the way you would have done it and would have brought it about. So let's trust him today. Trust that God is going to do something amazing in our lives, and he may not it may not come about the way we think, and he may not go about his business the way that we think he ought to. Trust him, and have a great day.